Hey everybody, Paul Humiller here, Dream Guitars, and this is another one of our Tech Chat series. And today I just wanted to suggest to you that 3 or 4 times a year, you look at your babies. You get them out of the case where they should never be, but if they are, take them out, look them over. This way you can avoid any serious problems by seeing something that might be happening in the early stages. So this is what I do with my own guitars. No matter how many guitars you have, you should do this with every single one. And here's what to look for. First and foremost is to look at the fingerboard. So you're looking for whether there's too much or not enough relief, or sometimes it can be a back bow. So it's real easy to check. This is of course what you're going to feel when you play the strings. It'll be the distance of the strings to the fingerboard. But a neck has to have curvature. So a lot of people misunderstand this. You've seen my other videos probably where I talk about the difference between action and relief, and they're two different things. So relief is the normal amount of fingerboard curvature that you want so that the string can swing in its arc and not buzz on the frets. But you can sometimes have too much, especially if you haven't looked at your guitar in 6 months. So looking at this guitar, this by the way is my lovely assistant, is the Michi Matsuda M1, one of my personal guitars, one of my babies. So you can use a straight edge, or you can use your fingers and a string by pressing the first fret of, say, the G string and then the 13th. And then you can just tap in the middle and see how much distance you have below the string before it hits the fret. So I've developed over the years, I've developed just a knack to do this. I don't need to use a straight edge for my own guitars, but you can of course use a straight edge, and you can use a shorter one so you can see, say, within 12 frets what's going on, and visually I can look underneath that and see that there's too much. Some of these adjustments don't try yourself. If you see a problem, you can do it yourself if you're knowledgeable, or at least study up before you do it. This is one that I feel most people can do, which is a truss rod adjustment. I'm not going to get into how to do it today, but that's one of the first things I look at. So in this inspection, I realize this guitar has too much relief, so I'm going to adjust that after we're done talking. The next thing I'll do always is come behind the bridge. This is where the strings are trying to pull the guitar apart, right? This is the house of tension. So I always watch the belly of the guitar here. There's always going to be some natural belly, so don't let that scare you. But if you see an unnatural amount, or the strings are really high here and it's not because of relief, you need to worry that your top is pulling up back here. And this can happen just over years and years. If the guitar has a flaw, maybe the braces are too thin, maybe a brace has come loose inside, and that's the next thing I would look for if I noticed a big belly. Sometimes you'll see creases where it's pulling up so much that the braces that are glued to the top are beginning to show a crease. This guitar is not. This guitar looks perfect. So no problems here, but the second place you really want to check every season. Similarly, you can look in front of the bridge and make sure that there's no diving in of the top. If a guitar gets too dry, sometimes you'll see the top sinking down here. Or if this is building up so much, the bridge will torque and push down here. So if you see anything like that, immediately call your pro. Don't mess around, just get it to somebody. And of course you're gonna look, the third thing I always look for is cracks. All these guitars, again, are really fine wood, and with humidity and temperature changes, they can move all year long. And if the wood has a flaw or whatever reason, guitars do crack. And if you find them early, they're super easy to fix. They're cheap, and it's just a really good idea to keep an eye out. So again, you always want to look everywhere around the bridge, because those are the stress points. But anywhere you have two different woods. So I'll look over my whole guitar where I see that spruce meets binding, or mahogany meets ebony. All these places where they have two different kinds of wood is a potential for some shrinkage, where one wood shrinks different than the other, and maybe the finish just puckers, or maybe it actually cracks. So I just inspect that. But it's a good rule of thumb is look everywhere there's two different kinds of wood. This is the Brazilian rosewood guitar, some really beautiful Brazilian rosewood. But I tell everyone, Brazilian rosewood might just crack any day of your life. So it's just a fact of the wood. You have to just sort of own that if you're going to own Brazilian rosewood. That being said, keeping the proper humidity, I don't have any problems with that. I've had guitars for years and years, Brazilian rosewood, without cracks, but it's very common. So I'll just inspect everywhere, especially where there might be any sort of, again, real difference in the grain, but this back is great. It's holding up well. So on this guitar, all I would do is adjust the truss rod, and that's it. That's all it needs to go another 6 months, and I'll look at it again. So have fun, y'all. Keep your guitar safe and handy, and call a pro if you need help.